Our guest today on Stroke of Genius podcast is Kimberly Miner. Kimberly is Chairman, CEO of Envision Victory Over Violence, a nonprofit foundation.
The Stroke of Genius podcast, hosted by brain aneurysm and stroke survivor Aaron Avila, sharing the experiences of survivors and CEOs. This is your destination for inspiration.
And there she is, Kimberly Miner herself. How you doing, Kimberly?
I'm fantastic. Thanks for having me. How are you, Aaron?
Really, really appreciate being here. I'm so excited because really when I titled Survivor to CEO, you are exactly a survivor to CEO. You are the reason I built this platform. So I am so happy you're here. Really, thank you for me here, Kimberly.
Oh, well, it is my honor to be here with you, Aaron. You are such a pleasure to be around all the time. So.
Very kind. But let's jump right into it. Really, you've taken your survivor of domestic abuse, and you've taken that into becoming a CEO. But let's the first 15 minutes or so, let's talk about your experience with domestic abuse and your survival. So please have at it. Tell us about your adventure, about your life experience.
Yeah, it was a very long journey that I've gone through, and my journey is one that is not unique. So many of my story, so many women find themselves in that exact position, and probably are in that same position right now, where they feel like they have no voice. They're struggling whether they should stay, should they leave. They don't feel like they can get out of that position. When I was with my first husband, I was with him for 13 years and was married for 10 years. And it took me 3 times of filing of divorce before I actually finally left him. So there's a, preconceived notion that, you should just get out. And it's not that simple. You have this, what they call this trauma bond of, feeling that that you can fix it, and that they call it, where they'll come back and say that they'll be different, and that where you kind of go through this like honeymoon phase. And that, that he kept making promises that, things would be different. And that honeymoon phase kept getting shorter and shorter and shorter, where, things would go back to, the way they were. And, life would get very, disruptive and unpredictable, and I never knew what was going to happen from day to day. And he was an alcoholic, and then he became, he had back issues, and then became addicted to the pain pills. And alcohol and pain pills never mix well together, and so that became even more unpredictable of what was going on. And so you were not only dealing with his personality, but you were dealing with a personality that alcohol created. You were dealing with that personality too. So you were dealing with different personalities all the time that made it very difficult to not. It was like a light switch too. So he would be one person one moment, and something would trigger, and it would be like a light switch, and he would go from being okay to not okay within a matter of like seconds. And you would never be prepared for what that would be. And it was very unnerving. And, everything was, what that would perpetuate that was always my fault. And I lived in this perpetual state of, I always like to describe it as autopsying, the conversations of going through and trying to figure out how, what it is that I did, or how I did something, or my existence of like how I could have done something different to not have created whatever it was, or whatever circumstances we were in, or whatever we were going through, like how everything I could have done something differently so that, the situation could not have been at the way it was, because obviously everything was my fault. So that was exhausting, because that's how I lived pretty much, every day, all day long, 12 hours a day, of thinking that, I was responsible for everything that went on, is that, literally that, everything was my fault. And so I lived in this perpetual state of feeling, in constant conflict of, of that, being upset, but then going, oh, well, wait a minute, he's only upset because I did something that, I obviously created. And if I hadn't created, or tried to use my opinion or my voice, or if I wasn't so strongly opinionated or feel like I needed something or whatever else, that, it wouldn't have happened. And so it was extremely exhausting.
Yeah, that's amazing to me. I mean, there's a couple of points. I can't imagine feeling a self-imposed guilt. You make yourself guilty when you did nothing wrong.
Well, yeah, and I was talking with someone yesterday, and I was trying to explain to them is that I had a career that was a career that I had to travel for it, and I made the money for the family and stuff, and so he took the position that he would go and he would cash his check, and he would decide what he felt comfortable contributing for the family each week. And his position is that it wasn't his fault, or that I would have to travel. So therefore, if I had to travel, then if he had to take care of the kids, then he would charge me a babysitting fee for taking care of the kids. And then he would deduct that amount of what he felt he would contribute to the family. And so that would cause a tremendous amount of stress for me, because then he would be angry that he would have to extend extra amount of time, that he would have to do all these different things. But yet on the other side, it was my responsibility to make sure that I was, bringing in that money, and that would be going into the joint account, which then he would be using that money that would be going into the joint account. But then if the money ran out in the joint account, then it was my fault, because money would be gone, and it would be, I would be ostracized of like how irresponsible I was, and oh, I was the one that we don't have money, we can't go do things or whatever, or else. So I was getting it from like all sides, like there was no winning. So like if I had to go out of town, I would make arrangements for my kids to go stay at a sitter's house and stuff, because like I could breathe knowing, and like relax knowing that my kids would be taken care of and they would get to the things they needed to go to, versus them being able to stay in their own home and knowing that, whether or not he could, take care of them, or if they were going to get taken care of, or if they would go to where they need to go to because it wasn't his responsibility. And he would twist it around saying, well, it's not my responsibility. And you're the one that happens to have the job that requires you to do that. And that doesn't fall on my shoulders to do those things. So,
Kimberly, I got to tell you, I am just shocked. I'm just shocked that someone could be so cruel to another person. But I am curious, because I have had my own experience of abuse, and I'm curious, that person you mentioned, he had to break, the abuser has to break that person. They have to break your spirit, break who you are, so they can dominate you, to manipulate you, right?
Oh, absolutely. He came in, when I met him, he came into my life at a time where I had been told that I could no longer dance. And so I was at a point where I was feeling no worth, I had no self-esteem, no confidence and stuff. And so, I couldn't really see, the baggage that he came with. All I knew is that he filled a void that was going on in my life. And so, nobody could have told me. And so when I could see the things that were going on, one, I thought I could fix it. And, I would do anything at any cost of not setting healthy boundaries for myself. And I would do anything to try to feel love for myself. And so, I've spent a lifetime of sacrificing myself between him and because I wasn't getting it in my marriage or whatever, it bled over into relationships and business and in friends of, overextending myself and doing whatever I could do for other people at the expense of myself. It would even go as far as financially and stuff. I would do whatever I could for others at the expense of myself, just for a moment of, people to like me, to feel loved, to feel accepted, because I wasn't getting where I should have been getting it, just for that opportunity. And it took me years of, therapy and self-evaluation and looking at myself and saying that, what, I'm this beautiful person and I have amazing qualities and stuff. And I need to stop looking for other people to fulfill that I'm good enough for just as who I am. And that I don't need to look for it from other people, no matter who they are and wherever it is, whether it be in business or friendships or family or, partnerships, that I have to have it within myself. And if they're not willing to meet me, halfway, then that relationship, no matter what it is, it's not, it isn't the relationship that is meant to be.
You had mentioned something in the green room before the show we were talking about. I was floored. First of all, let me make for the record. First of all, this issue is a chops in my hide. And if you're a man out there abusing a woman, shame on you. You need to get this as the lowest form a man can do. 2, if you're being abused right now, Kimberly and I want to advise you, please call the toll-free number that you're seeing at the bottom of your screen. And it is a domestic violence helpline. It's a police call. There is hope. That statistic you told me, 1 woman out of 4 is abused. I just blown away at that.
Yeah, absolutely. it's horrific what women will endure and go through when they feel like they have no voice, they have no way out, and feel like they don't have any resources or anything else, and they're told over and over again that they're stupid, that who's going to take them, who's going to believe them, or they're scared to tell. I didn't tell my family anything that was going on. There's still so much of what happened that I, to this day, don't tell my family, of what's, gone on and stuff, because I don't feel that it's their burden to carry, and so I choose not to share, those stories, with them and stuff, and the things that they have learned and stuff. It's very difficult for them to process, that, because, you care about that loved one, and, things could have been so much different had they really known to the depth of the things that were transpiring, basically right in front of them. That's hard for them to process. So
I can't imagine the feeling of guilt, hopelessness, of feeling that your fault. It's just that right there will trap you into the abuse to stay there, because you always think it's your fault. Therefore, you have no right to leave. But let's pause for just a minute. Take a quick second to have a commercial. Hold on, let me play a commercial.
No, no, no. We belong together.
Well, we're back. Kimberly, I am so impressed with you. I'm gonna tell you how much respect I have for you for what you've been doing, and they're right. We're into the second segment where we've heard about some of your abuse, what you went through. Now watch this. What you've done, you've taken what you abused, you've taken your suffering, you've taken what you've experienced, on very negative survival experience, and you've turned into something great. What have you done? What have you built? What have you done with what you went through?
Well, I've taken those 25 years of struggles, and the journey that I've been on of finding my inner self-worth and confidence and self-esteem, and my greatest thing that I wanted for other domestic violence survivors is the number one thing was for myself was that, when I looked at it, is that I thought I didn't want anyone else to go through all the years that I went through of what I felt was so many stumbling things, that had I faced them head on and had somebody by my side that reached out and said, I get what you're going through, and I'm going to be right here with you to show you how to go through that. Had I had that, I just think of how the trajectory of my life of all those adult years could have been so much different, and could have had so many turns that would have been so different. And that was important to me, that it needs to be different for the survivors that are coming out of it. And their domestic violence is the most misunderstood thing that is out there. Most think that, oh, just get out of it and just move forward with your life. And it is not just like this thing that you get out of and life just kind of begins and you just kind of boom, it's like the next day starts and you just kind of move on. It's like someone who has gone through war and they suffer from PTSD, there is a tremendous amount of work that has to be done to work through, to actually find out who you are, to actually feel like you can make life decisions. You have to, I describe it as a person, you are a person that is like an onion, and you have to peel back all the layers and stuff to get to the middle to find out, what opinion you have about life. What is your focus? Like, what kind of purpose do you have? Do you know how to, figure out what your thought process is on things, to have enough worth and confidence that you know that you're going to be able to make it when you know that you weren't able to get an education, so that you know that you have enough confidence that right now that you're going to need to have 3 jobs, and that it is that you have enough confidence knowing that 3 jobs that you're going to make it through that hard time right now for yourself and your kids to, get through that period of time, to know how to, reach out to resources and stuff. And when you're getting pulled by the court systems and by the things that offender's doing to try to knock you off of your teeter-totter, that you're going to be able to keep that balance going instead of having a teeter-totter go like this, doing all those things and stuff. And so it was important for me to establish a foundation that where we have a program that shows you how to start looking at all those different conglomerate of things that are going on, and build a foundation of finding out who you are, finding your own self-worth and your confidence and self-esteem, so that you know how to start finding a purpose in your life, and finding confidence, and figuring out what are those triggers for yourself, and why are they triggers? Where do they come from? So that you can figure out what is the best thing for you to how to rewrite the history for yourself, how to start writing positive, attributes for yourself, to start doing a mind shift, how to rewrite how you talk about things, how you say things to people and stuff, so you can start, redoing things of how you talk to people in different relationships you have and stuff. So it's really an intensive program to really rewrite how you look at yourself, and start taking time for yourself and looking at yourself, so that you can, look at yourself as an identity yourself, knowing that you are a person.
So you start a foundation to help other women from, what is the name of your
It's Envision You, Victory Over Violence.
So you guys, what kind of support do you offer? See, we have someone out there right now, watch this or listen to this podcast, that's suffering, going through feeling trapped. What does your foundation offer that woman that's domestic abused right now?
Yeah, thanks for asking. Is that somebody who's gone through it, and they're at that point of really trying to figure out of, gosh, I'm feeling that pull. We can help them through that. They're really suffering of I don't understand where all these thoughts are coming. Our program helps you through that. I don't.
How do people get a hold of you that are going through it? How do they mean to interrupt you a little bit?
There's a couple ways to get a hold of us. One is through our website, envisionyouvictory.org, or they can contact me through my email is Kimberly at envisionyouvictoryoverviolence.com. So those are the 2 best ways to get a hold of me. So that way we can directly connect with you and make sure to be able to talk with you at any time. So we are.
This is totally confidential. Like when they
Absolutely, everything is all confidential. Nothing is out there, in the public. So you will be taken care of. We're available 7 days a week. So we are available for you. And if we are not available right that second, somebody will be back in touch with you really quickly, so.
What an amazing service you're giving people. What I find, it always seems easy for us to sit on the outside and say, well, just leave. But in all reality, there's so many nuances, so much guilt, so much suppression, so much loss of identity for the person that's being abused. They can't leave. And so I would recommend you listen to this podcast and you're in a place and you're being abused. Please reach out to Kimberly's Foundation. She will help you. Really, really want you to do that because you have a voice. You are value, right? I mean, that's really what you lose. You lose your voice when you're abused.
Well, and if I could mention one last thing, Erin, is one of the things that we have started this year too, is that those that are going through our program and are just getting their first home, is that we have partnered with a program out here that we give them a voucher and they get all the things they need to get all their household goods and stuff. So we are getting them all set up, which is all about getting them to feel good about, building confidence and self-worth and stuff that, hey, you know what, we're here to support you and get you up and going.
Wow, that is really awesome. Again, you'll see in the bottom ticker, we put Kimberly's website on there and put her contact email. I encourage you. There's nothing that breaks my heart more than knowing that this is occurring. Remember, 1 in 4 women are being abused. And Kimberly, thank you for being out there. Thank you for being on the podcast. I'm really, our show is over. And I really cannot thank you enough for doing what you're doing. You go from survivor to CEO and you make it a world a better place. So I really, really appreciate that. So in closing, what would you say to this woman listening to this podcast that feels trapped right now? What advice would you give her?
My biggest word of advice is that all it takes is 1 second. Just take 1 second and use your voice and let someone know. That's all it takes. And then, you know what? Your life, you get the life that you're asking for, is that there is another side and we're all here for you.
Yeah, I can't imagine seeing who I'm talking to you right now. I can't imagine something like you going through what you did. So kudos to you and love energy away for what you're doing. And if there's anything that Stroke of Genius podcast can promote for you in the future, please lean on us. You want to come on to a quick little segment and we'll promote an event, we'll do it. We're here for you. You got my word fully to what you're doing. I appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you again for being in, Kimberly.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it, Erin.
Fire.